Hello, everybody. Welcome from NYU in New York City. This is actually my alma mater, so yay! Yes. I am here today at NYU with Yael Shai. Hello.
Hi.
Yael is the senior director of Global Spiritual Life at NYU. She is also the founder of MindfulNYU. And she's an author with the same publishing company that my book, Sit, Walk, Don't Talk, is from, Parallax Press. What is the name of your book?
It's called What Now? Meditation for Your Twenties and Beyond. It comes out in November.
Check it out. I can't wait to read it. All right. So today we're going to talk a little bit about the difference between spirituality and being religious. Because I personally, we talked a little bit before going live, but I personally don't identify as someone who's religious. I had kind of not the greatest experience around religious people when I was younger, so I formed this judgment of what that was like, and I feel like I've been kind of lacking a certain area of my life, meaning the spiritual part of my life, because I didn't have a good role model for that area. And I've come to a place where I'm, changing that now, but it's taken a long time. And I think there are other people out there, maybe you watching or can identify with this, that there's a part of your life, perhaps we'll describe it as spiritual life, that is lacking, but you don't really know where to go to or how to kind of step into that in a way that feels safe. So what are your thoughts about this?
Yeah.
What do you, we were talking a little bit beforehand, you were talking about folks here at NYU. I'm thinking the younger generation is probably really like in this kind of conundrum of what to do about this.
Totally.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about like the difference between spirituality and religious and how one can step into their spirituality if they don't feel comfortable in the religious space.
Yes. So I think a lot of people who come to us at NYU are exactly in this space. We also have a huge population of people like myself, who have a religious tradition and feel comfortable in that religious tradition, but are seeking practices like meditation and mindful living in order to deepen their religious practice or to enable them to connect to something wider than themselves, even if they do have a religion. Mm-hmm. But then there's this huge population, and I would say, I think, there's been recent Pew studies about this saying this is the majority of millennials who would define themselves as spiritual but not religious, mm-hmm. not interested in religion, mm-hmm. Either just because they never had it or because, as you're mentioning, they were wounded by it, they don't trust it, they had what my friend Rabbi David Ingber calls post-traumatic God disorder.
Oh my God, I love that. Yeah. No, it's accurate, I think.
It's really accurate. I mean, people laugh, but I think there's a laugh with a real recognition because there is sometimes for many people, for many reasons, there is deep trauma associated with the religion that they grew up with or that they were inducted into. And so they want nothing of that. And yet we have numbers like 70, 80% of incoming college freshmen are hungry for a discussion about what really matters, mm-hmm. Looking for a discussion about how do you live a meaningful life? How do you live a connected life? This world that we live in is not set up for that. Yeah. It takes some work to structure your life in a way, yep. and that can build that sort of meaning and connection, community, practices that feed you, that connect you to others, that help you to sustain yourself. And so we at NYU are kind of constantly exploring these practices in this spiritual space, mm-hmm. That try and make everyone feel comfortable, whether or not you come from a religious background, and maybe especially if you've been hurt in the past by religion, to find a space for you.
Yeah. So what are some of the practices? Obviously mindfulness, mm-hmm. right? Being
yes.
one of them, I'm imagining. Is there anything else that comes to mind too that folks feel comfortable with?
Yeah, so our most popular offering we have here is actually our yoga classes. Mm. And we don't do yoga in the way of like a stretchy exercise class. Mm-hmm. We really hire yoga teachers who have a deep, long-standing understanding of the original roots of yoga, mm-hmm. as a spiritual practice, mm-hmm. Connected in its roots perhaps to Hinduism, mm-hmm. and to certain kind of Vedic philosophies, but we teach it in a secular context so that people can, through the body, have these kinds of connection experiences, expansive experiences. And so obviously there's yoga, there's meditation, which we have multiple times a week. And then we have certain kinds of experiences like arts workshops that are done in a contemplative framework. We have something that we call Going There, which is a dialogue module that really urges people to ask deeper and deeper questions about their life and complicated issues. And we have speakers and workshops and things of all kinds, from Ayurvedic eating habits to sitting and knitting, so a program that we call a meditation knitting workshop.
Sitting and knitting, I love that.
Yeah. So we try and get it from all sides.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. That's awesome.
Can I ask you, Jennifer, like what has been the hallmarks of spaces that you've been in that have felt welcoming when you've been coming from that kind of traumatic or
right, the
nervous place?
Yeah. Well, for me particularly, I've shared this with folks on Facebook, that UCLA, their environment, I know that there's a brand there of, and within education, I know that there's not going to be some sort of weird kind of culty, it's going to be rooted in some sort of intellectual space, or facts or science of some sort. That I personally feel a little bit more comfortable in. Yeah. Also, the symbols and the kind of like the rituals and what people are wearing, like the more kind of normalized, which, I say that and I'm kind of judging myself when I say that because I feel bad that I'm saying it, but that's honestly like the more kind of clean, let me choose to put in the space what I want to put into the space. Don't put something in the space that you want me to believe in or to worship or something like that. When I feel like I have more choice, then I feel a lot safer. And when I'm going into a space that's heavily decorated or there's some sort of ritual that I have to participate in, I always feel like, oh, where's my individuality here? And so I think that's
really helpful. Yeah. I think that makes a lot of sense because, I think those symbols, that they're all very laden, or even if those ones aren't, it probably connects to something that is for you. And so that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So I think it's really wonderful what you're doing here. How long have you been here doing this?
We opened in 2012, and we've been kind of going strong ever since, and expanding and growing and developing, and there's a lot more to go, but it's a wonderful community, and students are just the best. They're just full of brilliance and innovation and openness to things that as we get older are harder to be open to. And so it's a really wonderful group of people here.
Oh, that's awesome. I'm happy to hear that. Oh, storage almost full. What does this say? You can manage storage. Done. Okay. It looks like I'm going to have to wrap this up because my storage is almost full. I don't really know what that means. But really quickly, is there any resources that you would point people toward if they're interested in learning more about, these practices that you mentioned that are happening here?
Sure. So we have a website. It's and many of our programs are actually open to the public. It's called NYU Global Spiritual Life, nyu.edu/global-life. Google it, you can find it.
Yeah, or we'll put it in the notes afterwards. Yeah.
Great. And like I said, we have things both for people who are religious, and we want to be completely welcoming for people who have a religious tradition and also interested in the spiritual components of either that religion or just meditation in general. And we hope to be this space for people that don't have a religious background. So whoever you are, you're welcome here.
Wonderful words to end with, right? Well, actually, let's end on something else. How can people get in touch with you and find out more about your book specifically?
Oh, thank you.
Yes.
YaelShy.com. That's YAEL.SHY.com. Has all the information about my book coming out in November and places I'm talking, etc. So
awesome. Well, please stay tuned for more information about that in my feed. I'm sure that we'll be cross-promoting as we continue to connect. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I will probably be doing another one of these at some point, maybe tomorrow or the next day, somewhere around there as I travel to Boston next. So thanks everyone for tuning in. Take care.
Jennifer.
Bye. Thank you.